This man's name is Kudo. He is a detective in Ara, Japan. That night on December 29, when he was driving, Kudo got a call from his commander. The commander explained that the bribery case in their office had been uncovered by the Central Police. Hearing the news, Kudo was very irritated. When he hung up the phone, he got another call from his wife. At that moment, his wife told him that his mother had just gone away. Kudo was so astonished that he couldn't focus on driving. The guy died, and Kudo, terrified he wouldn't go to prison, so swiftly put the man's body in the trunk of his car. But in the middle of the road, there was an inspection by police officers, since they were fellow cops. Kudo was first permitted to pass without inspection, but because of Kudo's peculiar attitude, the police started to feel suspicious and tried to examine the trunk of the car. Of course, Kudo tried to stop the police. Thankfully, before the trunk opened, the Central Police Inspector Yazaki came to the place. Yazaki said that he wanted to go to Ihara Regional Police Station, where Kudo was on duty. Yazaki wanted to investigate the alleged bribery case because Kudo happened to come across him. Yazaki asked Kudo to come to the office with him. Hearing that, Kudo pretended to be calm, then explained that tonight he had to take care of his mother, who had just passed away. Kudo then promised that tomorrow he would surely meet Yazaki at the office. After hearing Kudo's explanation, Yazaki permitted him to go at the hospital. After taking care of his mother's body, Kudo made a call for his commander. The commander told Kudo that he and Kudo's colleague, Kuyama, were now on their way to Kudo's residence to discuss the bribery case. Kudo, who was panicking, immediately looked for a place to hide the man's body. Fortunately, when the commander arrived, Kudo wasn't caught. After chatting for a long time, Kudo immediately said goodbye to going home the next day. Because Kudo was afraid that his car still had blood stains from the corpse, he was forced to go to the office using a rented car. When Kudo met Yazaki, instead of interrogating Kudo, Yazaki even said that he wanted to help solve the bribery case. Hearing that, Kudo was relieved. But when Kudo was about to leave, Yazaki suddenly asked what Kudo was hiding. From the first time they met, Yazaki knew that Kudo seemed like hiding something. However, Kudo chose to remain silent. That afternoon, Kudo went to the hospital again. He planned to put the man's body in his mother's coffin, then cremated or burned to ashes along with his mother's body. Kumo then asked permission from the hospital staff to be allowed to stay overnight. That night, when the situation seemed safe, Kuno continued to follow out his plan. But finally, Kudo's plan worked. In the middle of the night, Kudo's mother's friends, SBA, came to mourn. SBA was the boss of a Yakuza organization. During her talk, SBA gave Kudo a job hunting for a fugitive called Oda. He understood that Kudo now needed money to pay off his debt. Simba revealed that there was a temple in the woodland, which was widely used as a money laundering place by high-ranking authorities. The money was housed in a massive safe near the tomb, which could only be unlocked with 2 fingerprints, Lotus' fingerprint, and one of the police officials. Unfortunately, when they intended to accept the money, Oda disappeared. Hearing Spa's offer, Kudo said that he was willing to accept the job offer. The next day, at the office, Kudo's colleagues reported that they were getting ready to arrest a fugitive drug lord named Oda. When he saw Oda's photo, Kudo was shocked. It turns out that Oda is the man Kudo hit on the previous night. Kudo tried to act normal and join his colleagues. Then when he arrived at the scene of the crime, Kudo panicked because the location was on the street where he hit Oda. When Kwam asked the team to check the CCTV, Kudo was even more anxious. When they were inspecting and analyzing the CCTV film, Kudo also watched it. Deep down, he felt very frightened that the crash would be revealed. Thankfully, since the video quality was low, they couldn't see the clip properly. After checking the crime scene, Kudo departed for his mother's burial service in the parking lot. Unexpectedly, Yazaki contacted Kudo. Without more ado, Yazaki said he knew that Kudo had killed Oda. Hearing that, Kudo pretended to laugh while continuing to argue. However, not long after that, Yazaki came and immediately beat Kudo. After he was satisfied with beating Kudo, Yazaki said that now he has taken Kudo's child hostage. If Odd's body is not handed over by 5:00 p.m. this afternoon, Yazaki will kill Kudo's child. Inadvertently, Kudo has lately met various folks who are all related. The high-ranking police officer whose fingerprints could access the safe door turned out to be Izaki 3 days ago, or 1 day before Oda was killed. Izaki got news that Oda had betrayed and wanted to break into the safe alone. The Central Police Chief and asked Izaki to immediately look for Oda. In fact, the Central Police often secretly laundered money which was much larger than the bribery case at Kudo's office. After being assigned by the police chief, Heiki then asked SBA for help in finding Oda's whereabouts, because on the next day Yazaki will marry. The next day, December 29, when Yazaki was preparing for his wedding, a female staff came asking for Yaki's handprint to be used as a souvenir that afternoon. In the middle of the wedding event, another staff member asked for hand stamp again. Then Yazaki just realized that he had been trapped. After the event, Oda called Yazaki and explained that to open the safe he had to use both of their fingerprints, so Oda was forced to trap Yazaki. In fact, the first staff member who asked for Yaki's handprint was Oda's subordinate. Now Oda has copied Yaki's fingerprint into a card. When Yazaki hung up the call, the police chief came. He had been hearing all the conversation, and now he was angry. The police chief then instructed Gaki to seek for Oda as quickly as possible before Oda could open the safe. From the police chief departed, Sema called Yazaki and informed him he had found Oda's hiding place. That night Yazaki went straight there. Oda was hit by a car. Witnessing Oda's body being hauled away, Yazaki then followed Kudo on the road. During a raid, Yazaki didn't want the police to check Kudo's trunk and confiscate Oda's body. Therefore, Yazaki rushed to help Kudo. He also pretended to want to investigate a bribery case so he could talk to Kudo alone. In the middle of the night, Yazaki reported the incident to the police chief. Hearing Yaki's report, the police chief was furious. He continued to beat and curse at Yazaki, but because Yazaki was so fed up, he beat the police chief to death. Yazaki was relieved. Now he was free without anyone bossing him around anymore. At that moment, Yaki thought if he succeeds in getting Oda's body and fingerprints, that all the money in the safe will be his. 2 days later, after finding out that his daughter was kidnapped, Kudo tries to comfort his wife. Kudo promises that no matter what, he will definitely bring their daughter home. In fact, Kudo and his wife's relationship is at stake because Kudo was too busy working, so he doesn't have much time for his family. And now Kudo and his wife are in the process of divorcing. In the middle of his mother's funeral, before the cremation process, Kudo secretly snuck behind to take Oda's body. However, he was caught by Koyama because he was cornered. Kudo was forced to tell everything and then asked Koyama to help him take Oda's body in the car. When they checked Oda's body, they saw a gunshot wound on the body. It means that it was possible that Oda had been shot dead before being hit by a car. So that they could get stronger evidence, they called Oda's girlfriend and asked her to meet. After successfully catching in Oda's girlfriend and interrogating her, Kinyu finally found out everything. Then in the car, when Kudo and Koyama were discussing and arranging a plan, suddenly Yazaki called and told Kudo to stay away from the car. Kudo was quite astonished. Isaki then warned that if Kudo tried to do anything further, then he would not hesitate to murder Kudo's daughter. In frustration, Kudo swiftly chopped off Odd's finger and collected Yaki's fingerprint copy card, then carried Odd's body away. Before going to Yaki's house, Kudo visited Sema first borrow a weapon because his opponent would be a top-class police officer. Sema then offered him a time bomb just in case something horrible truly happened. Exactly at 5:00 p.m. Based on their agreement, Kudo came to see Yazaki. Before turning up Odd's body, Kudo surreptitiously set a time bomb. Since the body was covered with fabric, Isaki didn't notice that Oda's finger had been chopped and his fingerprint card had also been removed. Without the smallest suspicion, Yaki told Kudo to put Oda's body in the car. After Kudo's daughter was released, Yazaki initially wanted to shoot Kudo. However, Kudo said that he had arranged everything. If he died, then Simo would solve the whole case. After hearing that, Yazaki finally let Ke go, but before leaving, Yazaki made an offer to Kudo. Rather than being a police officer with a small salary, it would be better if Kudo joined him. If they succeed, they will become very rich. However, Kudo refused it. That night, after taking his daughter home, Kudo rushed the location of the safe. When the safe door opened, Kudo greedily put the illegal money into the bag, but suddenly Kudo fell silent. He realized that no matter how much the money was, it still wouldn't be able to make his life happier. When Kudo wanted to put the money back, he seemed to hear the sound of footsteps approaching. Apparently, Haki was still alive. When Kudo was about to leave, Simba emerged from behind and electrified Kudo till he fell. In truth, from the start, Simba was the mastermind of all this happened. SBA had already planned a confrontation between Kudo and Yazaki even long before this. SBA was also the one who provoked and manipulated Oda to betray the chief of the Central Police without Oda understanding. All this time Oda's girlfriend was Kuma's daughter, and now his plan was a success. Sema was happy and departed with all the money from the safe. In the morning, Kuma recovered consciousness, and he was covered in wounds. On the way home, he stopped the car while holding back the pain. Kudo called his wife. He said that now everything was really over. Kudo apologized for never being a good husband, but if he had the chance once again, he promised to try harder and spend more time making their little family happy. Hearing that Kudo's wife was moved and told her husband to go home immediately after hanging up the phone. When Kudo w to rest for a while, suddenly a car hit from behind. It turned out that Yazaki was still alive and Kudo's hard days were still not over, or maybe it will never.